Hello everyone and welcome back to the YouTuber Karting Championship. Here we are for round 4 at Daytona Sandown. Last time out we were at Daytona Milton Keynes, and though I had really good pace in qualifying, it didn't translate over to the race, so Audas managed to pit me to getting P2 with me getting P3. But this time out at Sandown, one of my favourite tracks on the calendar, can I get Audas back and can I get back into this championship before we go into the final round? Once again, it is a 15-minute qualifying followed by a 40-minute race, and we are joined in our footage today by my good friend Dhruv, who has turned up again. If you're watching my previous karting videos, you'll have seen that he often joins us. He's very quick, particularly in DMAXs, so maybe he can get in the way of Audas alright. But anyway, no more nonsense, let's jump straight into it. A reminder though to check out Audas' video once you finish watching this one. Hit the like button if you like this kind of content, I would really appreciate it, and comment down below to let me know your thoughts on this race. Oh, and if you're new here, why not hit subscribe while you're at it? Anyway, without further ado, let's get into this race. So very quickly jumping into qualifying then, I was pretty happy off the start because I was basically on pace with Audas, if not a little bit faster, so that was always going to go or bode well for the race. But this person obviously didn't see me coming through and slammed into the side of me, and then I almost ruined the qualifying for myself, coming through the very fast T1 here, going a little bit wide, losing traction, and then bang, bouncing off of those barriers. Got so lucky there. That could have been curtains for me. But it wasn't just me having trouble. Here's Dhruv in the qualifying as well, trying to get his fastest lap in. On the left hand side, there's one of the guys just coming into this corner here. Dhruv gets a bit too much brake and then ruins that lap for both of them. Not ideal, eh? But he did manage to get out of there in the end after a little bit of a struggle. And then, yeah, coming into the end of the qualifying then, I was able to prove my value and my speed faster than Audas in qualifying. Very, very good. And Dhruv lining up behind us there as well. But yes, going into the race, so I qualified P3 and Dhruv was P5 and Audas was P4, although they lined up Dhruv in P6 for some reason. Let's go on board with Dhruv off the start though, because him and Audas get an absolute launch as we come across the line onto the start of the race. And coming down that straight then, just a little bit quicker. Him and Audas are going to go very wide though through there. Audas loses position back to me, and then Dhruv gets punted. Round he goes, faces off against 21 karts on the circuit at the same time, and somehow only loses back to P13. That could have been so much worse. He could have gotten hit, something could have gone wrong, but yeah, he got away with that one. Jumping onto me though, still on lap 1, I'm not in trouble and I'm having a good time out here in P3, trying to get past the 177 in front of me, and then Alec in P1 as well. So these two guys were going really, really quick in the practice in qualifying, and I really wanted to stay with them as we got into this race because I had no idea where Audas was or whether he was going to be able to pass me, and Audas was directly behind me going into this section of the race. So I really needed to put the burners on and stay with these guys as we come here onto lap 2. Coming down the main straight, 70 miles per hour coming into this corner. Little lift just to get the kart to settle going in there. And then not an ideal line there by me, but it was okay. Carried the momentum as much as I could. Coming into this corner, similarly want to carry as much momentum as possible, and then the yellow flag comes out. Dhruv though, because of his poor start, is now dealing with all this nonsense in the back, people crashing in front of him, and similarly here again, coming into this corner here, guy in front is just going to, find someone crashed, which yeah, again turns into Dhruv seemingly for no reason, but again that's 2 positions gained, so I'd take that as a positive. On lap 3 though, here we are on board with me coming through onto lap 4, still behind 177 and Alec, trying my best to stay with them down the straights. This is where I was definitely losing out the most time, coming out the corners and down the straight. I just did not have the pace, but coming into T1 I had a lot of pace, carry as much momentum as possible, get to the back end of 177. Can we do something about P1 because he's driving really, really well? None of us going for any overtakes or any kind of moves, and it's actually quite good because it means that we're all dragging each other along and making as much progress as possible without the field behind us being able to catch up. So yeah, we were battling, but only battling by name only and not by actual physical aggression, going at each other, trying to get into trying to show a wheel or anything. Honestly, early on in a race like this, it's good to kind of work out where your pace is and know that you're not going to win the race in the first 5 minutes or so. This is a 40-minute race. You need to make sure you can settle into a good groove and get yourself going as fast as possible and not put yourself in jeopardy early on in the race. But here we are on lap 5 then, coming into T1 again. I felt really comfortable through this corner, other than that time sliding a bit wide. Exit there was a little bit slow, and then 177 goes a bit wide. I do my best to get up the inside, not quite. Coming back across, can I get the switch back? No, not on this occasion. both of us getting held up a little bit by the back marker here. Coming down this straight, I'm good on pace, I'm just behind him. He's going to brake a bit later than I do, and I'm going to go as inside as possible, try and get the switch back again. Not quite. Carry as much momentum as possible through this corner, still on his rear end. Not quite going to make it happen here. Just not enough momentum or speed through there, and we're letting P1 get away. As you can see, this whole battling thing is never good. He goes a bit wide there. The pressure I've put him under has made him start to make a few mistakes. In this corner here, I'm going to go as fast as possible, try and get the run onto the main straight, but unfortunately that first section of the acceleration phase, and I'm just losing out a little bit too much to him. Coming into this corner though, right on his tail again. Is there any way I can find a space to get a move in? Not quite. And yeah, coming into this corner here, somehow everyone slowed down a little bit, and I've gone right behind them. There wasn't actually a yellow flag there, I don't think, so I wasn't snaking anyone. But yeah, Alec looking behind him, knowing that we're all right there. Literally, he's got me, he's got Aldas, he's got 177, all of us just chasing him down. Everyone wants that P1 spot, doing our absolute damnedest to get it. And yeah, coming into this final section of the track, and I'm going to do my absolute best to try and get him. So coming through the final set of corners here, through the second to last corner and the final corner, 177 goes to the inside, gets a little bit compromised on exit, and I get to go up the inside and switch back on both of them, take the back marker and 177. Sorry, I'm not giving you his name. He literally put his name down on the sheet as 177. We had a chat afterwards. He was a nice guy. He actually drove a GTR, which was pretty cool. But jumping forward onto the end of lap 7 now, I've just overtaken for P2. Can I get P1? I'm going to really put the burners on and do everything that I can to try and get Alec. I know I've got pace. I know I'm good in DMAX karts. I can get there. I can get up to him. I need as many points as possible in this championship. I need to get as far ahead of Aldas as possible. We get another yellow flag here. Have to slow down a little bit. Not sure when we're going to go on the power again, and we do ever so slightly, but then he backs off. I need to make sure I don't lose out to him. And then here is the scene of the crime. As we go around the outside of it, I'm going to put my foot back in, make sure I don't lose too much time on acceleration, because this guy was obviously a lot smaller than I am. Me coming in at 90 kilograms, and this guy was, I think, well, skinnier even than Aldas, which is pretty ridiculous to think about, considering Aldas is mostly twig. But yeah, he gets held up by this back marker. I get very lucky here on the inside, and yeah, same move as before, switchback. And I think I have the speed onto the straight, but look at the speed differential. Unbelievable, the speed that he can carry down the straight. The benefit of being a little bit lighter, yeah, is absolutely huge. So I'm going to have to do something in these corners to make sure that I can beat him. At least I've led a lap now, and I know now the blood is in the water. I could win this race. I can pass P1. I can take the win here. Just got to put as much effort into these corners, make sure I don't screw up my lines, use as much momentum as possible to get past Alec and try and get the win in this race. I'm putting everything on the line here. I really need to go for it. And Alec is doing a great job of defending. He's facing forwards, he's not looking behind him, he's doing everything right, taking the correct lines. I'm a little bit quicker than him through this section here, but then as we come back out onto the main straight, you can see I've got loads of momentum coming through there, and off he goes. Off he goes down the straight. So I really need to focus on those corners and try and get as much speed as possible through there. I love T1, man, so fast through there. Coming into T2, a little bit of a compromised line there. I think I could have got that a little bit better if I was carrying better speed on entry. Coming out the corner again, and you can just see the distance that he's able to pull in a straight line. I have to do everything I can to try and negate that. But yeah, and we're doing a pretty good job. His lines here aren't perfect, and I'm getting some of them pretty well, using a lot of the track, but I am definitely doing relatively well. Jump forward here onto lap 13, and I'm still with him, and we're starting to get held up by back markers a little bit. And I think you're about to see the true power of his kart, because well, not just his kart, but obviously being a little bit lighter, where I'm having to maybe push a little bit harder and be a bit more aggressive with the back markers, he's kind of able to just put his foot in and get past a lot of them, and you'll see that as we go into this section here. Coming in there, that was a nice move by him, going up the inside of that back marker, catching him unawares. Coming into this penultimate corner here, I'm going to try and do the same thing to the inside, get past him, and I'm right on his tail. I obviously lose a bit of speed on exit there, but look at the gap he pulls. He's pulled half a straight in a straight. Unbelievable. The way he violated that other back marker as well is insane. But yeah, let's jump across to Dhruv, who is coming here on lap 18. He loses a bit of momentum there, getting stuck behind that back marker, and Aldas comes through. So Aldas unfortunately came into the pits thinking that he had been called in for a black flag, and it was actually a different kart number. So Aldas has lost a bunch of time to myself and everyone else, but he has just taken back Aldas to take over 4th place whilst Dhruv is here in P5. But Dhruv was actually driving really well at this point. He's coming here through T2, right behind Aldas still, and putting in an absolute shift. The benefit for both of these drivers, both Dhruv and Aldas, they weigh a very similar amount. And here we are on lap 20. Dhruv is right in behind Aldas still. It's been a few laps and Dhruv is still right there on him as they try and break through these back markers. Dhruv's going to go to the inside of this back marker here, coming into this final section of the track. To the inside, very nice and smooth. Aldas struggling here with this other back marker, doing everything he can to try and get around him. Coming through that corner, then he goes to the inside, gets a little bit compromised. Dhruv's going to go around the outside here, and he's going to have way more speed coming out of there. Gets in trouble for bumping someone earlier on in the lap, but that doesn't matter. He's going to take over P4 in the race, passing Aldas back, and he's going to try and get around this back marker as quickly as possible and not have to worry too much about getting held up. But here you can see going a little bit wide there. Oh, it's a little bit sketchy. Drew's going to give him the space on exit. The back marker here, obviously there's no blue flags on track, so you don't really know who you're racing against or who you're not. Obviously Dhruv knows this is a back marker. The back marker won't necessarily know that Dhruv is coming through on the lead lap. But yeah, Dhruv coming into there, a little bit of time lost with the slide, but generally driving really fast through these corners. Good line choice there coming out of it, and flat out back down this straight into the final section one more time. As he comes through, Aldas is right on his tail. You can see as we come into this final corner, Dhruv has got so much pressure on him that he goes a bit wide, and Aldas gets back up the inside and takes over P4. So let's jump back onto me then, just a lap after that on lap 23, and I am getting stuck behind a lot of back markers, losing a bunch of time to P1. This is not good for my race. If I want to win this, I need to do something very fast. So as we come here onto lap 24, I'm thinking, how can I get these back markers as quickly as possible, because I have lost a bunch of time to Alec as we come into this corner here. Getting stuck behind the 143 cart here a little bit. Going to go left to try and go around the outside of him as he's going to the inside, and he doesn't. He goes in the way ever so slightly and brakes early, and it's disaster. It's absolute disaster. Pulling back on the wheels, they're trying to reverse, let him get out in front of me, and I go out and I lose just the one position. But Aldas, you'll see him now as we come down into this section. There's a little white helmet coming across the screen, and that is Aldas. He's catching me right back up as a result of that incident. I've lost 13 seconds as a result of that crash. Let's watch a replay of it. So coming through here, I expect the 143 to stay more inside, but he comes across braking. I give him a slight tap on the rear, and around he goes. Not ideal. It was probably I mean, it was my fault. He wouldn't have known that I was there, but at the same time, yeah, just a little bit unfortunate there. But so I'm going to put the burners on, and here we are on lap 31, a few laps later, and I've put the absolute burners on to catch up to number 177 here, and this is my fastest lap of the race here. So let's talk through it. Coming down the first straight, little tap of the brake just to settle the car as much as possible, but maintain as much momentum as possible. So yeah, really good line there coming back onto the outside. Could have been a little bit tighter here, but still carry the momentum across, stay right hand, and then open out this corner as much as possible. Go a little bit wide, but for me, I find I lose a lot more time on the curb, so I didn't use them. Staying to the right hand side here, coming across the corner, and then want to stay as left as possible on exit so that I can then get the speed through this right hander. Coming out of here then onto this little back straight, stay left, coming into the final section of the track. Cut across this one as much as possible, stay as right as possible on exit. Don't use all of the track there, because you want to make sure that you stay on the inside there, flat out into this final corner as fast as possible. Try not to lose too much time on the curbs, and through we go for a 48.5 I think I did on that lap, which was okay. I've done faster laps in the past, but the track wasn't particularly fast on this day. So coming back into T1 then, I've caught right up onto the back of 177 here, and I'm going to go for the inside. It's not coming there at all, just trying to carry my momentum as much as possible, and obviously nothing coming from that one. Not the perfect place for me to go for the move there. 177 now, obviously struggling with a back marker in front of him. The back marker was his mate, someone who had been giving him grief for most of this time that I was on catch-up mode. And yeah, so all that grief he'd been giving him had been helping me to catch back up to him, with plenty of time left in the race still for me to get the move done. So coming into this final section then, I'm doing my absolute damnedest to get him, and it looks like he's maybe lost a bit of pace as well. Maybe he's a little bit tired, I'm not really sure. I'm going to go to the outside here. He's lost momentum coming out of that corner, corner, and I'm just going to make it happen. Just enough space to be able to get through on him there. Luckily, him and I were a little bit closer on weight, so he didn't really have the straight line speed advantage that Alex seemed to have over me. But jumping ahead another lap, I'll just show you this back marker wasn't making it easy for me either. I'm going to go to the inside on him here, just get the move done. Nice late braking move there, but he's going to stick it back up the inside here. Unexpected, caught a little bit unawares there, but yeah, everything was all good. He was fine, I was fine, and we got out of there okay. But here's back to Dhruv, and Dhruv has re-caught Aldas. He lost a bunch of time to him and then has caught him back up coming later into this race, and he's really pushing, really pushing. Aldas is going to have to put on the absolute burners here to try and stay ahead of Dhruv, because Dhruv is fast in a DMAX go-kart, and by this point in the race, he hadn't driven a DMAX in like quite a few years coming into this race, but now Dhruv has got some proper pace, and he is putting in lap after lap after lap, and he literally caught up like a 6-7 second gap to Aldas to get back on the rear end of him here. So here it is. Can Dhruv do me a favour and get me some points back in this championship? Right now, if it finishes as it is, I'm going to be a point ahead in the championship. So if Dhruv can get him again, that'll be 2 points in the championship, and I really would like to see that happen, obviously. So Dhruv coming down this straight here, right on the back of Aldas. Aldas will be looking back and forth, trying to work out where Dhruv is. Coming into this corner though, Dhruv's just going to grab as much of that inside curb as possible to try and stay on the rear end of Aldas here. Both of them just putting it on each other right here. Dhruv really needs to get past him though. I'm willing him on in my head. I really want Dhruv to get past this guy so that I can benefit a little bit in my race. But yeah, coming through this section here, Dhruv is literally on his tail. Look how close he is. There's nothing in it. Dhruv getting right on him, braking a little bit later, not expecting, I think, Aldas to brake as early as he did. He's going to come into this final corner here, and he's just going to give Aldas a little bump in the back, which actually helped Aldas in the end. That was not ideal by Dhruv. Obviously, if you hit someone in the back, you're going to give them a little bit of extra speed coming down the straight. He's shouting at himself down the straight because he's pissed off. He knows he can get this guy. Coming into this T1 then, he's going nicely there, a little bit bogging out of that corner by his kart. And around he goes. So unfortunate. That could have been it. That really could have been it for me. Oh, what a shame. But yeah, jump forward then onto lap 41. And this guy had an even worse time of it coming through T1. You'll see here on the outside, suddenly, he finds another guy just spun. And yeah, he saw his whole life flash before his eyes there. Could have been curtains for him coming through that section. But yeah, he was all good in the end. But that was pretty much all she wrote. I basically just cruised it through to the end here because I didn't think I was going to be able to catch Alec in the end, which, by the way, was a terrible decision. So I finished 13 seconds, not even, I finished 12.5 seconds in the end behind Alec. And remember that in that crash that I had, I lost 13 seconds. So I know that obviously the final stint of the race I was going faster than him. Maybe that was partially because he didn't have any pressure on him, so it could have just been the case that he had taken his foot off the gas a little bit. But either way, that crash certainly cost me an opportunity to go for the win in this race. I definitely could have been up there, considering I lost 13 seconds and finished 12.5 behind him. But either way, if I had been on it as much as I should have been through this last section of the race, I might even finish a little bit closer and proven that point even more. So yeah, you can see I was not putting any real aggression on these back markers. I was just kind of chilling, knowing that I've got the race wrapped up from my perspective, so all is well there. I've got no idea where Aldas is at this point in the race. I just got to bring it home on this final lap, not get myself into any problems or any trouble, not cause myself any reason to get disqualified or black flagged. Coming around the final corner then, a long old race, 40 minutes done, and very, very happy with that one. A good performance in the end, minus the crash, coming through to take home P2. Definitely could have been a win, I feel. Let me know in the comments if you feel differently, but I feel like I could have won that race if I just had kept it on track. But here comes Dhruv around the final corner as well to come home in P5. Not a bad race by him at all, considering he hadn't driven DMAX in many, many years. And what that meant in the race was that I ended up in P2, as I said, just 12.5 seconds behind Alec. Aldas came in P3. He managed to catch up to 177 as well, who I think was just flagging a little bit at the end of the race. And Dhruv came home in P5. Not only that, but I got blessed by Alec having the best lap of the race, a 48.244 in the end. I got a 48.579, and Aldas actually went faster than me in the end with a 48.296. So yeah, by Alec getting that fastest lap time by what, 0.05 of a second. That saved me losing an additional point to Aldas there and puts us in the championship back neck and neck going into the final round. 33 points each as we head into the last round of the championship. It is anyone's game at this point. I cannot believe how close we are in this championship. Let's jump across and get the reaction. What a race. That was pretty mental. So a shame about getting taken out. I really thought that if I had just stayed in there a bit longer, I might have been able to chase down P1, but he had the legs on me in the end, let's be real. But I'm glad to come back, getting back to P2, obviously beating this man right here. And yeah, taking once again, well, I suppose in the championship now we are level on points, which is pretty nuts.
I'm fuming.
And yeah, not scripted, not nothing, just here we are. I was kind of hoping that the dude in the Hamilton helmet would sit between us and give me that extra point so I could go into right house that little bit ahead.
He bottled it. It was that pressure I put him under.
Yeah,
he crashed.
He span, he screwed it. So yeah, lovely guy, but yeah, didn't quite come through for me, and neither did Dhruv. What the hell? Well, Dhruv came down P5.
He took it easy on me, so big up Dhruv, by the way. Big up Dhruv,
he did.
A field full of Lithuanians. I mean, us scored, and they were nice guys as well.
He had his whole gang here, and still got beaten. He still got beaten. Right. Remember to like, comment, subscribe, all that great stuff. Massive thanks to the patrons, always their support. To you guys all for watching. We'll see you in the next one.
Last race. I'm gonna win it.
Listen.